Hey everybody, how are we doing? This is Pastor Mike here, and we are again stumbling together toward the Eschaton.
He's joined here with me. I forgot my name. My name's Nick.
Oh, I almost skipped you, brother. I was getting ahead of myself.
November 22nd, 2015 is the date that we're covering today.
And it's technically called, for people that do lectionary stuff, it's called Christ the King Sunday. And it looks at Christ as king and God's kingdom. And we got an interesting text talking about those things. It comes from the Gospel of John, 18th chapter, starting at 33. And it actually comes from on Friday, Thursday, when he was about to be crucified. Pilate entered the headquarters again, summoned Jesus and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered him, "Do you ask this on your own, or do others tell you about me?" Pilate replied, "I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." Pilate asked him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." So, it's this interesting discussion at the end of his days before he's crucified about what is power, what's authority, what does kingdom look like? Which is, again, another tough concept. Mm-hmm. What is kingdom like? I mean, what is the kingdom of the world? How does the world view rulership? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's kind of like with the difference of like, I am the president of Anime Club. What do I rule? I rule a room of like 40 weeaboos. Like, you know, it's kind of like, that's not a lot of power. And then, yeah, anime. Mm-hmm. But you know, and then if you're like the president, you know, you have a much more broader range and you have more power. And it's more of the more people you follow, the more power that you have. And with Jesus having his kingdom not be of this world, he kind of is just like an ant going against a boot. Like, there's not really much that a single ant can do.
Well, and it's interesting, you know, because, again, there was even the understanding that, oh, yeah, I mean, empire was going to crush him. Yeah. I mean, that's just the nature of it. And that was full known from the beginning. But he even says that interesting thing is that if my followers were from this world, they would be fighting tooth and nail. Mm-hmm. But his kingdom's not from this world. And it's a very radical difference. I mean, kingdom of the world, I mean, how do people run things these days? Mm-hmm. I mean, even our previous episode really kind of talked about how things are run.
Yeah.
It's about force. It's about power, right? You wield it. Anime Club. We're going to watch this movie now.
Yeah, that's how it is. The Anime Club...
That's how it is. I love that. That's how it is.
With Anime Club, I have 3 strikes when they're yelling, when I'm trying to give announcements. It's, I yell at them, I yell a little bit louder, and I bust out the whistle. And I'll hammer on a whistle in a classroom about like the size of if you were, you know, take like this whole like chunk, and I would just go, doo, for like a minute and a half and just holler on the whistle until everyone stops talking. And then the second they start talking again, I wail on the whistle again, and it's like, you had your warnings, you know. So it's kind of the.
I'm just impressed that you rock a whistle.
I do. I rock. It's a bright yellow whistle. When people, they'll see it, and I'll yell, and then, you know, they'll stop talking, and I'll pull out the whistle, and they're like, "Guys, shut up." like
guys,
slap the kids who are talking.
The whistle's out.
I told them, I said, one of these days I'm going to have to bring in an air horn and just hammer on that. And I said, the security guards wouldn't like it. That'd be great.
Why does the kid have an air horn? You don't want to know, man. Anime Club is rough.
Yeah.
Well, there was Street Biker Gang Club, and there was Anime, and we knew which one was tougher. Yeah. Street Biker Gang Club at your school?
Yeah.
Street Biker Gang.
I mean, we have a clown club where people...
Are you straight up?
Yeah, we have... they're clowns, and they perform at, like, different, like, grammar schools and, like, daycares and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Clowns freak me out, brother. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to confess to everybody listening. Clowns freak me out.
I can kind of relate. I don't know. I have no problem with clowns. It's more of the how do they fit in tiny cars.
You know, that I think has to do with origami.
Okay, I see.
I just purposely use that horribly wrong because paper folding and people.
I mean,
fold paper, not people.
If you try hard enough, you can fold anything. Let's get that straight.
Let's be honest. Fold the rock. Yes, we're going to start a rock folding club at your school. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would.
My arms hurt so bad from rock folding.
Push harder.
Oh, man. So we got 2 types of kingdoms.
Yeah.
You know, our world, besides being silly and whistle wielding, you know what I mean? I think Pilate represents that force, that power, that hammering. And I mean, if you look at the world at large, and even like we said the last episode, there was that sense of, you know, how do you run things? How do you rule? How do you have community? And oftentimes it's about force and order and these sorts of things, that it has to be this way. Legalistic. Boom, boom, boom. And it's very tempting because, you know, you can have that force. Mm-hmm. Force can often work well. I mean, people say that force doesn't work. Force does work, but the question is, are the ramifications the best?
Because if you're ruling with force, like when you're ruling, there's 2 kinds of methods. Like you can either be the cool boss, or you're going to be the boss that everyone hates. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to be the boss that everyone hates, you yell at everybody and you force them to do what they're doing. But if you're the cool boss, everyone respects you into where they'll do stuff without you having to be angry.
And that is a great transition to the other concept of, you know, the concept of God's kingdom is love. Mm-hmm. Is that the concept of grace that changes people? You know, do we force people to change, or do we invite them into change and grace? And I mean, that is the 2 forces. I mean, Pilate is, I am force, I am power, you know, people want you dead, I can kill you, brother. And Jesus is like, hey, you know, they hate me because I fed people, I love people, and I showed grace to people. You're gonna nail me to a tree, and I ain't gonna hold it against you.
Well, because it's like, with 2 weeks ago, we had the reading about with the widow and the scribes, was it right?
Yeah, the widow and the scribe. Yeah,
and where it's kind of like, oh man, we're so cool because we do all of these cool things. You know, like I'm so humble, and
the humble brag.
Yeah, hashtag humble brag.
Yes.
That's the prehistoric, not pre.
T-Rex humble bragging again. Sorry, go on.
You know, with that concept of, they think that they're really good because they're giving all this money away, and they're like, oh man, I do long prayers, like all of that. When Jesus, he didn't really have a lot, but he kept giving, you know, and it was that like where he gave all that he could give, and so the other people were jealous because they're like, well, I'm giving like a bigger mass of things, why aren't I getting all of this praise?
Exactly. And I mean, with the widow and with Jesus, and the concept was, you know, Jesus didn't want people to give out of the concept of abundance, where I got extra, I can give it away, or, you know, yada yada. Yeah. But this general sense of love and compassion. Why do I help somebody? Because I, honest to God, care. And so it's not, you know, the ease of giving. It's that sort of thing. And I mean, the exemplification of this is that, what does he give? He gives his life as a ransom for many. I mean, dude dies. Mm-hmm. And so here we have that struggle. So, I mean, his kingdom is about grace. I mean, he had some schlubs. I mean, even after he rose, Peter denied him 3 times.
Yeah.
Still loved. I mean, Paul was, you know, going around murdering Christians. You know what I mean? He was like, you know, street club biker gang member. Street club biker gang.
Street club biker gang. I have a leather jacket that says that at home.
Street club biker gang.
Street club biker gang.
Oh, man. But again, he was, you know, became one of the greatest proponents of Christ and was killed for the faith. I mean, there is that sense of, you know, which way. And Christ's bias is obviously toward love. So how do we lead? How do we rule? How do we be in charge of things?
And on a less smaller scale, I bought my buddy John a copy of Monster Hunter. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it was like $40. And then I bought it for him. I'm like, you know what? I get paid like $100 a check. You know, it's only one paycheck, $40, whatever. And I get scolded by my parents, and they're just like, "Oh, you should be saving your money. Don't waste your money on stuff." I'm like, "It's not wasting. It's kind of, you know, it's kind of like I love John, so he just let me give him some you know."
Yes, and there is that deep and abiding struggle, because you get the chains of stuff where parents want to be generous to their kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I want you to be good, yada yada yada, and it's that struggle. You know, I want you to be generous, but not with that. Well, wait.
Yeah, because like it's with the you can buy a gift for your friends. It has to be under $10 though. And you're like, what can you buy with $10? I can give you a $10 gift card to a $10 gift card store. Like,
yeah,
you know?
yes, buy more gift cards with your gift card.
Yeah, but like, like that's kind of like the thing is when when you're younger, I can understand because you're using your parents' money to buy your friends gifts. But I have a job, so like it's like I have to pay certain amount of money for my bills every week, and then the leftover money, that's my leftover money, you know, and it's that.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it. Because they're like, you should be financing a car and like all this stuff. I'm like, I'm 18, or not even 18 yet, like 17, and it's just kind of finance a car. I don't even have enough money to do that because I'm like, it would be
But
like
you did a one-time generous gift to somebody you cared about.
Exactly.
And I think that's part of the kingdom of love. I mean,
Yeah.
as opposed to the kingdom of force, where it's like, hey, everybody, you got to pay for every individual slice of pizza. Yeah.
Thank you, gas stations.
Oh, man, but gas station pizza's good.
It's pretty good.
Have I plugged Casey's yet? Casey's breakfast pizza, good.
You see, I don't think you guys knew, but Pastor Mike is a big advocate for gas station foods. And I was kind of on the fence about them until we were driving home from Hesed House, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. I don't even remember how
It was
late
not 11 o'clock at night. Hesed House is done at 7. It's like 3 a.m.
Yeah, it was 3 a.m. and we were
We've
stopping.
given out clothes for 12 hours straight. All the homeless people were closed forever, and it was time for pizza.
We were throwing the clothes everywhere. Like it was like if it was in the city, like if you threw like seed on the ground, all the pigeons would fly.
It was like t-shirt cans out the back of the car. Get clothed. Yes. Get clothed. That is a poor way to close the homeless, by the way. We're not advocating t-shirt cannons.
I'm a big advocate for t-shirt cannons. Not for harmful uses though.
Go on.
But he was just like, oh man, you should get some of this breakfast pizza, or not breakfast pizza. It was like Supreme Pizza, and I was like, and I got it, and I was like, it's actually pretty freaking good. And so I'm kind of on the side of gas station food.
Yeah, my wife and my doctor are not fans of my love of gas station food, but I'm honestly, brothers and sisters, Casey's does pretty good. I'm gonna put them as my number one. The Circle K at the corner of 4771. They do good work down there.
Casey's owners, if you're listening to us, please sponsor us.
Yes.
Please.
Nice. That's the kingdom of love right there. Sponsor us for pizza. Oh, man.
You don't even have to give us money. Just give us, like, a pizza slice a month. That's all I'm asking for.
That's all I'm asking for, brothers. Oh, it is those... Man, we are everywhere today. That's okay. Jesus loves you nonetheless. But it's hard. And, I mean, even as we look in news, it's the struggles of, force, legalism, grace, compassion, and I don't know. It's again. I mean, let's be honest. I think with podcasts, we're going to keep hitting hard topics because I don't think we should shy away from them because who else is going to talk about it if we don't? Exactly. If the mascot and the pastor can't talk about it,
exactly,
we're done. Game over, man.
That's some Shaggy from Scooby. Oh, Scoob.
Hey,
Game over, man.
Game over. So how do we do it? And it's hard. I mean, even teachers have that struggle sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, police officers have that struggle. You see the stories where maybe there's too much force. But you know what? You love seeing the story about like the ones where there's like the dance-off. Like, where, things are getting wild, but there's that grace and compassion. And all of a sudden, like, this police officer's like at a dance-off with this kid. And the whole system changes. And I like that because it shows that in odd moments, compassion and love can be quite powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, they can do much. I mean, one of the things that I have noticed, and I've worked at camps and some of those things, some of these kids, all they've known is force their entire existence. And that little bit of freedom, you worry that they're going to abuse it, and they might abuse it at the beginning, but I think then there comes the fact that this grace is kind of nice. I don't want to lose it.
Yeah, because that's how it was with me when I first got a job with a steady paycheck. Like when, I first started my mascot biz. Is you're just like, oh my God, I got $150. Let me go to Walmart and buy everything. And that was the situation. And so I came back with like all of this stuff. And I was like, that was literally half of my list of things that I wanted to buy. Now I could save my money. Like, and then you save it for when you want to give a gift to someone. Or, because to me how I am with gifts is... let me buy a little bit of something for myself, and then I'll buy you something too. Like it's like with the I talk about Mabinogi a lot on the show, but with Mabinogi is I'll buy a like an item from the premium shop, but I'd also buy it for my girlfriend or my buddy John, and it's kind and we'd all kind of just share. We'd be like, oh man, look at this cool horse we're riding, like it's
my pony, and in that I think is the great power of it. To give freely and graciously is really part of that kingdom. To be, hey, I'm going to give. I don't expect anything in return. That's not force. That's grace and compassion, and that turns things. You know what I mean? It can be hard. It can be hard as a parent. It can be hard as a leader. It's sometimes hard as a pastor. You know what I mean? I try to err on the side of grace, but there's moments where, it's like, I think we need to have a come to Jesus meeting. I don't know if you ever grew up with that phrase, but that was in the phrases that I always want. Come to Jesus meeting. We got to figure this out. And it's that thing. If I'm going to talk about grace is important, you got to do it to people.
Yeah.
Even if it's not convenient per se. And it's hard. I mean, God's kingdom in some ways is harder to live in than the worldly kingdom. Because there's so much temptation to use force. Be right. Do it this way. My way or the highway. And seriously, but if you bring that into, say, a marriage or relationship, you know how dangerous that is?
Yeah, well, with, the different parenting styles, how there's authoritarian, authoritative, and, permissive, or whatever the last one is. Yeah. But that, with the authoritarian, that is the, you gotta do this my way, yada, 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 very, stereotypical dad situation, where, the kid has no say, you're doing this because I told you to.
Push-ups!
Yeah, and, and then there's the, permissive, it was permissive, which is the, okay, do what you want, and that kind of stuff. And both of those have severe negatives, because if you have a permissive parent, the kid's going to abuse that freedom that they have. And if you have an authoritarian, that kid's going to be afraid to do anything on his own, because he's always been getting yelled at to do it, or he won't know what to do. Yeah. And that's why they made the middle ground authoritative, which is the, hey, I'm going to butt in when you're doing something wrong, but here's freedom, Well,
yeah, and the freedom to make mistakes and the grace, But again, maybe that's the interesting thing, too, about even as we talk about grace and love, that's not an absence of rules.
Yeah.
It's not anarchy. It's not like in God's kingdom, I'm going to wear a sheep hat. Nobody wears a sheep hat.
I'm going to make a bra out of Pop-Tarts, and no one can tell me what to do.
Okay. That escalated.
Because you're just crazy things, a sheep hat. I'm like, no, you got to think full scale. Pop-Tart underwear.
Pop-Tart undergarment. But that's not saying that. I mean, even with raising younger kids, I mean, we got rules. I mean, my kids never liked the you got to hold the hand in the parking lot rule. Mm-hmm. But when they're under a certain age and they don't get it, that's a hard rule that I'm not breaking. Why? Because people drive in the Target parking lot like it's Manhattan. Yep. You know what I mean? And I don't want my kid to be road paced because they're squirrels. What's that?
Well, we had that discussion today. You and your wife went off with the kids, and we stopped at McDonald's right before the session.
Yeah.
And your son, Leo, he's just like, I'm running in the parking lot. I gotta go pee. And you're just like, Leo.
And it's that struggle. And I'm not saying I wasn't like that as a kid, but there has to be that training, and even training into grace. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, even as we talk about grace, I'm not saying there isn't rules, but it's the in many ways showing them why those things are in place. Why do we have school zone speed limits? Not to be authoritarian, but I'd rather not a 12-year-old kid get hit by a car because they're a 12-year-old kid.
Yeah.
So let's be slower to be safer.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those things in place. I mean, even some of the rules in the Bible are there to be safe. Mm-hmm. Really? Yeah.
I'm gonna be the devil's advocate for this part, but I'll do a voice. Well, Pastor, it says that it's all right to have slaves. Because I get that opinion a lot when I'm talking about the rules of the Bible.
Oh, well, that is, again, one of those interesting ones to get to. And how much time do we got?
We got 5 minutes.
Oh, we got to hit Thanksgiving, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, this will be a little extra bit.
Okay. I'll do it quick, maybe.
Okay.
Is that even as we understand Scripture, you always have to engage it in certain ways. It was written at a certain time, and there's always the struggle of what pertains to the time it's written, what is, universal in scope. So, I mean, the holding of slaves, the mildew laws. I mean, I love the mildew laws. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have these numerous things. And so, what is appropriate for the time, what's not? Obviously, I would argue that, slavery is not an institution that should continue to exist. Mm-hmm. Maybe for that period of time it was reasonable. Some people might be even offended that I said for a period of time it might be reasonable. So be it. You know what I mean? Maybe it was.
We make mistakes.
At this point in time, as we've gone along, we've realized that, you know what, it's probably not appropriate. Because even then we get the phrase, in Christ, there are no longer Greek, there are no longer Jew. There is no longer slave or free. There is the oneness in Christ, which calls us maybe not to do that. And then you even get the fascinating letter to Philemon, which talks about the guy that wants to own a slave and some of the slave ownership. And he's like, dude, man, I almost want to say, let it be a frozen and let it go. You know, pull a frozen. Mm-hmm. So even at that time, there was the general sense of Christians were struggling with the simple reality of, if I'm a Christian, can I have a slave? So those sorts of things happen. Again, I mean, you know, we eat pork. I think that's reasonable to eat pork. Why not like bacon?
Exactly.
But I mean, you know,
it's the main reason why I'm not a vegetarian.
Mm-hmm. God didn't want me to eat animals. He wouldn't have made them meat.
He wouldn't make them delicious.
I couldn't resist. No offense to the vegetarian or vegan people. Go for it. But I don't think meat's bad to eat.
Speaking of meat, let's talk about Thanksgiving.
Yes, all right, thank you. I was almost going off topic. But we can actually, it might be interesting in a later show in these times to hit some of those concepts of how do we read the Bible. Mm-hmm. Remind me that, Nick, because, again, I'm not focused. But Thanksgiving coming, which is actually really awesomely connected to rules and these sorts of things and the kingdom of grace. And one of the ways the kingdom of love is gratitude. Gratitude is a huge thing. And Thanksgiving is at one time a year, hopefully it's more than one time a year, that, you know what I mean? You know, to be thankful. Gratitude is powerful. And I mean, I even like some of your examples of those sorts of things. You're grateful for what you have in friendship, so you do something nice.
Yeah.
One of the greatest grounds of generosity and good is the concept of gratitude. And not to be grumpy to people, but I think we've lost gratitude and wonder in our world. That
Like with like as I said, because John he's a poor guy. Like he doesn't have money, so that's why all of us we spoil John. But like with the situation, he doesn't have money. For my birthday, he gave me his skateboard that he uses every day because he just got another used skateboard that's in a little bit better condition. He's like is with like the widow that we were talking about, how giving what the little bit that they have into you know, and it was just Yeah, and the sense of gratitude and appreciation does that. And I don't know what's killed us for that. Something's really messed us up, that we're not the most grateful people. And I mean, it's dangerous, because I get in these moments where I get worried and I'm not really grateful. And then there are these moments where it's like, seriously, why are you not grateful? Well, I want more. You want more. But what do you have? More than you need. My kids are healthy. They're doing good. My wife, she's doing pretty healthy. She's doing good. I got a reasonable church to lead. They're good folks. You know what I mean? You spend time with them, they're good folks. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't got somebody in the back pew throwing donuts at me in worship.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
I'm a diabetic, man. That's dangerous.
I mean, risks are meant to be taken.
Diabetes, take that. It doesn't work if you hit me without having to eat it.
Yeah.
Don't you know the disease works? But you know what I mean? You know, nobody's like out there flaming me or any of those sorts of things, you know? And so, I mean, the situation I'm in, I'm doing good. And there's a lot of folks that ain't doing that good, man. We've been down to Hassett House.
Yeah.
And are you ever amazed at the sheer level of gratitude that folks have?
Yeah, it's really good because we had the guy last time we went to who he only comes there when he really needs something. Like, and he feels really bad for taking it, but we're like, dude, you need this way more than we do.
And that's one of the amazing things. And I mean, and because you know, being at Hassett House really does that, and it changes some of your opinions, because you could easily be like, people don't need free stuff. One, they need it. But there's also, I would say, like 95% of the people that we run into at Hassett House, they're not greedy. They don't want to take advantage of the system.
Yeah.
They really take what they, honest to God, need.
Yeah.
And I don't overuse the phrase honest to God, but I mean, honestly, they take what they need. That is awesome. That is a concept of gratitude, of thankfulness, and holiness. And then we got other folks that have more than they need, and they keep taking stuff.
Yeah. We got the fat cats.
Well, I mean, just not even that. I mean, I know some of the people that do pretty good, and like they'll gank like salt packets. It's like, what? I don't know how much you make. Like, I've had friends, they do pretty good, but they're like, I'm gonna take extra salt packets. why? I mean, why?
Yeah.
It's one of those mind-blowing things. Like, what?
It's one of those things when you go to your friend's house and you see that they have just a baggie full of the ketchup like packets that they sell at, or not even sell, they give it away at McDonald's. Like,
I can understand, like, maybe they don't want to waste it, but you know those guys. Like, okay, another problem I have is I enjoy Taco Bell. All right,
I enjoy Taco Bell, but my body doesn't agree to it.
nobody's body agrees with Taco Bell. All right, Taco Bell, I'm sorry, man, but you've done some Van Damage to this body. All right, Jean-Claude Van Damage. But you know what I mean? Like, you know, I'll take the fire sauces that I need. Then you get the yes, you were not able to see the gigantic. Oh, I must take all fire sauce home. Like, seriously, guys, and it's just, and I don't get that mentality. You know what I mean? There's so much to be grateful for, and Thanksgiving, that's the point. We got a lot.
I always enjoy having Thanksgiving at other people's houses, for you do not have to do the dishes.
Be grateful you don't have to do the dishes. That's nice.
Because they're always like, "What are you thankful for?" I'm like, "That it's at your grandma's house." Like, yeah.
Well, and I love the people that love hosting Thanksgiving dinner. You know what I mean? There are some blessed people. I just want everybody here. Do you know someone? I know somebody. Invite them. Like, okay, I thought that was like rhetorical. Like, do you know someone? I know somebody. Invite them.
That's how I am with spreading the word of stumbling. Is I'm just like, hey, do you have internet? Yeah, you should listen to our podcast, Stumbling Towards The Eschaton.
Have you heard of the internet? Are you aware the internet exists? Yeah, then you should listen to our podcast. That's a huge leap.
That's how I am at church. I'm like, how do you feel about podcasts? I don't really like them. We should make an exception.
Yes, that was the best this morning. Yeah. Do you like podcasts? Can't stand them. Should listen anyways.
Yeah.
But I mean, my aunt my aunt loves just hosting people. I mean, she's straight up one of those people where if I just grabbed a random dude off the street, she'd probably be like, okay, I got turkey. You know, that would be her response.
I'd like if that was her response, like in not Thanksgiving time, like in the middle of summer. Yeah, I got a turkey.
I got turkey. What do you do? I got a turkey. You got a turkey. Let's go be thankful.
Gobble, gobble. She like picks it up and it's like...
Why does everybody that's thankful need to eat me? That's okay. The president will pardon one of you guys. Okay, thanks. I'm not thankful. Y'all eat me. Sorry. We're getting... But I mean, there is that amazing attitude of gratitude. And that is, I think, one of the seeds of how God's kingdom works. Grace and love and compassion happen when there's gratefulness. And the sense that the good Lord, you know, was provided pretty good. You know? And that's nice. And there's nothing wrong with being thankful that you have enough. You always want more. And that's the problem I try to convince my boys. They always want more. You don't need more. You're good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's the great struggle of, you know, how can instead of we having more, we be more? Mm-hmm. And I think it's really the great growing with God sometimes. Not having more, but being more.
Yeah.
To be a better person. To be a more compassionate person. To be a more wise person. Not to have more. I mean, we go around with our cell phones like we made them, but we just bought them.
It's my alarm clock.
I know, but I've met some people who's like, you know what my cell phone can do? And it's like, you didn't make it, you bought it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look, I bought something that's amazing. Okay, like, you know what's really amazing? The guy that built that.
Yeah. That's my favorite thing is just like, look at this Starbucks coffee I just bought. It's so good. I'm like, yeah, you bought it. Like, wow.
You grow the beans?
Yeah, you grow the beans. No one grows the beans. They just
grow the beans. You talk to me about coffee. All right, we are.
Yeah, we are past time here.
Thanks, everybody.
And keep on stumbling. We'll see you next week. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
See ya.